What's up, guys? It's Mrjamvad, and today we are back for another episode of On the Contrary. And while this wasn't intended, the idea kind of popped up. You guys really enjoyed the interview sort of thing, or just discussion with BKC. And so, even though the podcast originally was kind of a discussing all things competitive Pokemon, Smogon related, I think it'd be an interesting change of direction or just addition to start just talking with other people from around the community and introducing you to their content. And so, speaking of that new direction, today I have Sam. His YouTube name, you still go by Fufu, right?
Yeah, that's the channel name. Yeah.
Okay, because he's just undergone a lot of change since I knew him back in the day, and so yeah, pretty massive YouTuber these days. You know, he's a pretty big deal but he does something that is just, I think, is super cool. You know, I have a nerdier side, and I like just really unique niches within this game. But I'll have him pretty much go over because I'd hate to shortchange what he does. But I introduce you to the Pokemon scientist, the Professor Oak of YouTube himself, Fufu.
Well, that was a very generous introduction. But yeah, so on my channel, I guess at the moment, I'm really liking spotlighting Pokemon or mechanics and seeing how they work in game. So doing weird like ability and move combinations and things like that to see what crazy strategies you can come up with. And I like using Pokemon that don't get seen so much, or abilities that a lot of people don't even realize have competitive viability. Well, not necessarily competitive, but in battle effects. So a recent one that I've been doing was Pickup, has an in battle effect that a lot of people don't know about, and I thought that I would showcase that and how that can actually be pretty interesting in doubles.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my content it just depends on what I find interesting at the time, and what I think could make an interesting video that maybe people don't know about. So it's definitely like getting down to the nitty-gritty of mechanics in Pokemon, because that's what I find most interesting, battling mechanics.
So is the Pickup one, now I'm more curious, like real-time curious. What's the in-game mechanic? Because I've never been aware of that.
Yeah, so prior to like Generation 6, I think Pickup didn't have any in-battle effects, but as you walked around the world, like you could get potions and stuff. If your Pokemon wasn't holding an item, they might just spontaneously pick up a potion. Mm-hmm. But in battle, since I think it's Generation 6, if an opponent uses an item and your Pokemon isn't holding an item, at the end of the turn, they can pick up that item. But it works especially well in doubles because you can pick up your ally's item, and so you can do cool stuff like flinging items to other Pokemon and then picking the item up again so you can use it again, which is pretty cool. And then there's this one strategy that I've just showcased, which actually isn't available in Sword and Shield, but you can have two Pokemon with Fling and Pick up, and you can constantly fling a King's Rock and a Razor Fang at the opponent to make them flinch every turn, and then you'll pick the items up at the end of the turn, and then you can make them flinch the next turn and the next turn. Basically, they don't get a chance to attack. So it's stuff like that where we're looking at mechanics that people don't really use in competitive play because they're not the most viable abilities, or the much stronger abilities out there. But seeing because they're underexplored, seeing what the potential really is and how far you can push it.
Yeah. So wait, so to make sure I'm understanding, the Pickup currently, it doesn't allow you to what exactly? It doesn't allow for you to.
So.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So Pickup, like if you've got a Pokemon that uses an item, Pickup doesn't allow you to pick up your own item. It only allows you to pick up an item another Pokemon has used in that turn if you're not holding an item. So, but if you've got two Pokemon that use Fling in the same turn and both have Pickup, they both lose their item in the same turn. The item makes the opponent flinch, and then you can pick up the other Pokemon's item.
Okay.
in that turn. But you can't use that in Sword and Shield because you need a King's Rock and a Razor Fang, and a Razor Fang isn't in Sword and Shield. It was removed along with loads of other stuff in Sword and Shield, but we don't need to get into that.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
King's Razor Fang is gone. Isn't that what you need to evolve Gliscor though?
Yeah, exactly. So, but Gliscor isn't in the game, but maybe it's coming back in Crown Tundra. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, maybe not with Crown Tundra, but it's certainly coming back. I think they're.
Yeah, it will come. Yeah, in the long term. Yeah.
Speaking of which, what are your thoughts on before we get into? Because I want to go into how you got here. Like, how did you transition from that? But since we're on the topic of new Pokemon and Crown Tundra and whatnot, is that a region you explore? And I don't mean the actual region of the Crown Tundra, but more so in-game things.
Yeah, really excited for that because with Isle of Armor, a lot of people were disappointed with Isle of Armor because people didn't think it added that much. There weren't many new Pokemon and stuff, but the big thing that it did add were the new moves with the tutors,
right.
And that's exactly the kind of thing that is really interesting for my channel, because we get all these new toys to play with and we want to see like what their potential is, and that's not necessarily just looking at, oh, this Pokemon gets this move, therefore it's better. It's like, what if we use this move on this Pokemon and maybe skill swap it a crazy ability, and then it just becomes insane. So like trying to make a skill link Scale Shot Haxorus, for example, and seeing how much damage that could put out when your Scale Shot's hitting 5 times and you're getting a speed boost each turn. So it's looking at the potential and thinking like, this is really cool, I'm so glad they added this move, but if they had implemented it like this, it would be so much cooler, or you could give more viability to different Pokemon. So I'm really looking forward to the Crown Tundra, because if they do add new items or new abilities or new moves, that's really cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing how like all the Galarian birds, for example, are going to behave and stuff like that. It's really, really exciting. And also the Reggies. I think the Reggies have a lot of potential.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them. Yeah, I forgot about the Reggies. You're right. Man, there's so many. There's so much new things. There's so many new things coming. Like a lot. Like in comparison to the other, like it's not even close. You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think Crown Tundra is probably going to be a bit more exciting for everyone, even if you're not into like the crazy mechanic stuff. Just I think having the Galarian forms of the old Pokemon and stuff, that everyone gets excited about those. So yeah, really looking forward to that.
Okay, yeah, that's you completely the Reggies part where it was like, it made me think back, like not only the Reggies, but like everything is like it's not even close. Because all the legendaries are gonna come back, and from a competitive standpoint, the Uber tier is a thing, and it's kind of lacking a lot of its toys at the moment. And so, yeah. No, I follow some of your videos, and it's like Ubers is so different this generation. It's like a completely different thing. It's like 90% OU, which I kind of used to do back in the day, even back when it was a thing. But it's nice to have my RCS as an option rather than having to use Lord knows what else, because there are no legendaries except Zacian, which you lose to.
Yeah.
But so as far as because for the audience, do you go by? I know your Discord name is Foo, but I've always like mentally said Foo. Is Foo cool too?
Yeah. Anything, like it's not really a big deal.
Okay.
The channel's foofootoos. I think that's because when I looked at it, Foofoo was already taken, and so I just went with that. But it's whatever, really. I'm not that fussed.
Okay. So with Foo, he used to be like heavy in Draft League. I don't know if you had played Smogon heavy, like doing Showdown lines and stuff, but I became familiar with you from the Draft League side of things, and I want to say. Did you play lower tiers a lot back in the day? Yeah.
Okay. So definitely, that's kind of how like my content is as it is, because I like the underexplored side of things. So lower tiers means that all your really, really awful Pokemon actually stand a chance at doing something.
Right. Yeah. I was just seeing if my memory was serving me correctly, because I do recall lower tier stuff, and then you'd venture into Draft League. And so I'm curious as to, one, just how you became a content creator, period. Because I don't know if you had commented or something. I don't remember even how I found your channel, but I remember when I found you, you were already at like 7,000. So I was like, how's this guy, like, in my mind at the time, so big? I think I may have had the same amount of subs, if maybe even a little less or a little more, but it wasn't like a huge difference. I'm like, how come I've never heard of him? And so I think I subscribed off that, and the fact that, you know, he seemed to know what you were doing in the lower tiers. And so, you know, to see you transition from like lower tier Smogon to now, you know, your channel has exploded as you know, the Professor Oak of I just like that I came up with that. The Professor Oak of you know, like mechanics and in-game moves, and like it's like it just really seems like scientific work, you know, going in. 'Cause I know these recordings, you have to like get the right Pokemon and, you know, get the right situation. So I know they're not like just, oh, I woke up and recorded this kind of thing. They're very meticulous videos. And so I'm curious as to how you got into YouTube, how you got into Pokemon, all that.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's okay. So we're going right back to the beginning about how I got into Pokemon. Like, I played the original games, then had a bit of a break after Gen 3, I think. I missed Gen 4 completely, came back with Gen 5, and that's when I started getting into competitive on Pokemon Online and everything. And then I started uploading because that's when Showdown was starting to become a thing, and I was watching people who were playing more lower tier stuff, which I found, one, more accessible, because I guess fewer people played the lower tiers, so it wasn't as hotly competitive, and it meant that you had more space to try to be creative, which I think is a big thing for me, and a big thing for Pokemon in general. Like, surely one of the biggest appeals for Pokemon is to try to use the ones that you like. It's about showing a bit of your, you know, identity, I guess, which Pokemon you choose, and and moves and things. So yeah, it's definitely started in the lower tiers, and I did do Showdown lives, because at the time, like that's what I was watching, and also that's kind of the easiest way to get into content creation. At the time, you'd have to have like a 3DS with capture card and everything to actually record, which I didn't have at the time. So I started doing Showdown live sessions, and then I mean, that was the bulk of my content for the longest time when I was first starting, and then got into doing some draft leagues, starting with the GBAD league initially, and that was really fun. I really like draft league because obviously you have to pick your Pokemon, and you know, you get to choose the ones that you're familiar with, and a lot of the time the Pokemon that I'm familiar with were ones that people didn't necessarily expect or know what to do with. And in the early days of Draft League, a lot of people didn't really know how to prepare as well, like speed creeping and actually researching what Pokemon could do. So I just found it a really interesting concept, and I enjoyed doing that. But I found that, though I really enjoy it, and I still really enjoy it, and I love working with people and creating content together, like you get a really good kind of group when you do a league. The issue was, we had discussions about this when arranging this call, like working with people, especially across the world and in different time zones, it takes a lot of time, and I can't stay up super late to battle people in the US all the time, because I'm working and everything as well.
Right.
And also, like, I put myself under loads of pressure when I'm in a draft league. I can't just enjoy it. So like all the prep and everything, it takes so much time as well, because I want to like really, I want to show off the team, and I want to try to do well. And so for me, draft leagues and content creation, it wasn't very compatible, or it wasn't sustainable in the long term. If I wanted to make videos outside of Draft League, I couldn't also make Draft League videos. There wasn't enough time, and I found that with changing times and things, I wanted to get more into what I could do in the game, and I think also I just like to reevaluate what content I'm making, because there's so much out there at the moment, and because content creation has become so much more accessible to people, like I wanted to reassess what if what I was creating was actually, adding to that, or whether it is more noise, because I was aware that my Showdown content, a lot of people maybe enjoyed it, but I don't know how much I was like, I'm not the most competitive player. I've not done tournaments and stuff like that.
Right.
And so when I'm looking at other people's content and I'm seeing, especially like your content is a great example. It's very informative and educational, and you take your time to explain everything. And while I can try to do the same, I'm aware that my skill level, and because of the frequency that I play, probably isn't the same as some people who've been playing for a lot longer than me and have been involved in the more competitive side. So I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was like adding something, and it was original, and so I kind of pivoted to in-game stuff. And I found that looking into the mechanics was actually the thing that I really enjoyed, because not only did it inform people and educate people, but it also allowed me to, use those Pokemon that I like to use that people didn't really know as much about. So that's how I fell into that.
Okay.
So that's the long history of the channel.
Well, no, that's actually, I never considered how much, because there's like 3 components I noticed there, which kind of led to this. Because your I don't know if I'd call it your personality per se, but your fascination with not going with the status quo. I can hear it in how, what tiers you chose to pick content. I can hear it in the types of videos that you chose to go towards, because you could have taken several different directions. I'm sure you're familiar with false swipe. False swipe gaming. Like, even in, I don't remember who had told me about his channel, but even in that's a completely different niche that he carved, similarly to how you're doing. You do like actual in-game mechanics, and he does like almost archaeology, like of So I think there definitely there's more room for things like these, and there's certainly the audience from it, because you like went from, I don't even know the growth period, because I don't know if you've been at, like, what are you at now, 60 something thousand?
Just around 60,000 subscribers.
Okay. So I don't know if like you've been at 60 for a while and you're just like, Jam, I've been a big deal for quite some time now. Where have you been? Because that very likely could be the case. But I'm sure there was a time where you're like, holy crap, like I'm gaining subscribers at a rate that like I never even fathomed was possible at one point, like 10,000 in a week or something,
Well, that's definitely true around game launches, and that's obviously true with probably most Pokemon creators. Around game launches, like, there's just so much interest in the game, and people want to watch the content about it. So that's one way of trying to maximize your how your channel does and your channel growth around those times. But there was also a weird time, and it was when I made this kind of pivot towards the more like mechanics-based videos, that I was really experimenting with the presentation of my videos and all the metadata and everything. And I managed to get like a spike that equaled or even improved on the growth that I had at the Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon launch. So, and it was crazy. Like, I've never had something like that happen to my channel outside of a game release. So that was really interesting. And then when Sword and Shield came out, that was another big boost, because some of my videos did way better than I could ever imagine.
Don't you have like a million view one? Don't you have that?
Yeah, one about Galarian Corsola, which I guess a lot, like it's not the most exciting Pokemon on the surface, but no one had like twigged the fact that if you give it an Eviolite, like it's just insanely bulky. And I think the presentation of the video, like the title and the thumbnail, which are the most important things, just like it found an audience that wasn't just the competitive side, but also anyone casual, who would enjoy the game. So yeah, and so that was probably the biggest game launch. I probably gained 15,000 subscribers around then. Yeah, so it generally comes in jumps when a game comes out, but the channel's healthy at the moment, which is good.
Yeah, because what I was gonna say is, I mean, looking at your channel now, it's not as if you seem to have, which is something that False has as well. While the case may be, maybe a video per week or a video every 2 weeks, or so, whatever, you know, it could be a month if your schedule is, you know, busy. I know those videos are they're not very easy to produce. Or maybe they are at this point because you've done it so much. But I was gonna say, you know, it's a type of content that it's not a. What I'll say about Showdown lives is, you know, beyond a certain point, particularly further down in the metagame when it's more mature, you know, if you see it or if you miss one, it's not like the end of the world. You know, you'll get the other one, particularly because we're more daily style creators, whereas with you and False's style of content, it's more of a, oh dang, like I've never seen that before, or it's a type of content that you'll always click no matter how long it's been since they last uploaded, because you're like, I want to know what I didn't know before.
I think that's a really good point. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do content like this was because I knew that frequent uploads isn't sustainable for me, and there are periods where I just can't do more. Like I used to do daily uploads when I was doing Showdown stuff, but I realized that there were periods where that just wouldn't be possible, especially if I was going away or something, and there might be a week or even 2 weeks where I couldn't upload, and that could potentially damage the channel. I wasn't sure, so I wanted to make sure that my videos were more of like an event, and that you would want to stick around to see the next one. So just because I think it fits my schedule better, I want my channel to be sustainable even if I can't upload all the time. So that was a big motivation to move to the kind of content I make now. And you're right that it definitely takes longer per video, so I have to factor that in. And I still get stressed out when videos aren't coming out as frequently as I would like. But at least now I know that I can't expect to do more than like one a week unless I'm building in that time. Like if it's a game release, I'll probably try to take time off work and stuff, because I know that I will see the benefit. So yeah, that's how I do it. I
think you can get 100K Crown Tundra if you do it like the formula of the Galarian Corsola was I'm surprised. So with the Isle of Armor didn't have too many new stuff. I guess if you had done like, you know, okay, what does Rising Voltage do with like something like that, but they're gonna be completely new Pokemon coming in the Crown Tundra other than the returning Pokemon. And so like I'm sure they're gonna be things that are like, especially if you can get your hands on whatever that thing is early. I'm talking like within the first week. I can easily see like probably 4 of those videos over the next 6 months doing 1 million.
We'll see. I think for my channel, the trick is like finding the new thing that's not immediately obvious, or not like the big thing, because like Isle of Armor, I decided to, you know, showcase, I can't remember which one it was first, but I did Clawitzer and Terrain Pulse quite early because I figured that most people would be using, you know, the more obvious things like Technician, Dual Wing Beat, Scyther was one, or like the flip turn on some of the water types there,
Mm-hmm.
and Slowbro, of course, or Urshifu. Like those, I felt were the low hanging fruit, and I want to do something that's not them because with game launches, there's always competition for content, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how true that is, and the most obvious part of that is when people do let's plays and like everyone uploads their like whole let's play the first day that the game drops, and then obviously most of them will just get lost because no one's going to watch all the different let's plays. I think that this kind of content is probably slightly different to that, but still I like to try to find the stuff that other people won't go to straight away, just so that people will be interested in the thing that other people haven't talked about yet, which is, I think that's why Galarian Corsa did well. But then some of my other videos at the beginning of Sword and Shield were talking about stuff that everyone was talking about, and they did well. So it just depends on the level of interest and how you present videos. YouTube is all about title, thumbnail, the presentation.
Mm-hmm. Something I've had to learn, and not easily, might I add. Like, I'm very stubborn. I'm like, shouldn't matter, the content's what, but no, this is real life, buddy. So I definitely had to grow up in that area from my Puritan perspective of things.
It's hard, especially coming from a point of like, I want to make like really quality content that the audience engages with and everything. But then when you find out that no, the way to succeed at YouTube is to spend, like, you could make whatever content you wanted to make as long as the audience is like happy with it, but you need to spend almost as much time making a thumbnail that people would in the old days people would call clickbait and would frown upon. Nowadays, like, we acknowledge clickbait is, that's not really the correct term for it. I would only use clickbait if someone basically presents a video in a way and you click on the video and that's actually not the content of the video.
Right.
If it's anything that's just like flashy and trying to grab your attention and make you click, and then the content is kind of what it says on the tin, that's not clickbait. That's just presenting your video in a way.
Marketing.
Yeah.
All right, because subscribers, sub boxes, and I guess because, and this is definitely something that played a role, I guess because I assume my sub box, it's kind of easy to assume that whatever is in your sub box is what most people's sub boxes are like, right? But a person could have like 10,000 channels they're subscribed to, right? And so you're competing, even though I don't like using, I've been reading this book recently, but I'm a bigger believer in creation. I don't want to play the competition game, whereas I guess on some level there is competition if you're in a saturated market, I guess you could say, okay, there's a competition between, but the way I view it is more like, instead of me, let's say I wanted to, like, for example, it's one way of looking at it in the competitive frame. Let's say I wanted to take your audience, right? That's a competitive frame. Then I'd go and do something similar to what you're doing, because otherwise I wouldn't be taking your audience. They would just be sharing an audience. And then I'd try to, quote unquote, do it better or make it more interesting. And so let's say you didn't do clickbait titles, as they used to put it, and I do, then maybe your audience would click on mine if I'm doing the same thing you're doing. Now, the way I view it is more from a creative standpoint. So rather than, actually, your journey could be used as an example for this too. Rather than, like, prior, you're like, okay, Showdown content, and then you're like, well, there are a lot of people that do Showdown content as well. So rather than me saying, okay, now I'm gonna grab Jam's book and then double down on competitive Pokemon and outdo them at that game, you're like, I'm gonna do something that suits me. Not just suits me in the sense of, screw you guys, it's only my content, if you like it or not, kind of thing. While I'm sure there's some truth to that as well. You did something that fits your schedule, fits your personality type, which I was talking about earlier. But you seem to like, very much like uniqueness, like going with the crowd style of content. And so in that, you created a different place You didn't know whether or not people would be engaged or even give a damn, but it aligned with who you were, or who you are in the present, and you know, it ended up working out. So rather than, like, if I see your success, rather than me saying, now I need to do what Fufu does and start to compete with you, I'm like, let me get inspired by what Fufu does from the creative standpoint and see if I can come up with something that I can create. So now I'm not taking your audience, it's just different content. So I don't think I think the same people who would watch Fall Swipe would watch your content, because it's not like picking between Let's Plays kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about inspiration rather than just imitation. You don't want to be the knockoff. You want to make your own. I think that's a really good comment, and I think that it is really important to understand that you're right. YouTube isn't a competitive marketplace. It's not that someone will want to watch one video on a topic and then they won't watch any others. That's not how YouTube works. If someone's interested in a topic, they'll probably watch all the videos on that topic. So there's a lot of cross-pollination that goes on, which is the more appropriate way to look at it, especially with our content. I think when it's something like a Let's Play, when it's a big time investment and people wanting to get engaged with a creator, I think that's where it's more competitive in terms of the videos. But in terms of like battling content, people will want to watch multiple people and see what's going on. So I definitely think that's the more appropriate way to look at it, for sure.
And I mean, even in having this discussion and learning how you came about, it gave me some ideas, because I'm heavily competitive. I mean, you knew this from the past, but like, that's just how I look at the game too. Like, I like playing versus people and beating them down. That's how I I'm not gonna like shit talk you or anything like that, but I love the rush from, you know, making the double switch or setting this one setup that I'm sure you used to get that rush from Draft League that you missed, like setting up that one set that just pays off so well. You know, Solar Blade, something, you know, Age of Slash or something. Killing the Gastrodon. There's a satisfaction that comes from that the strategy working. Exists in VGC. Exists less so in Smogon, because Smogon's style is more of a, unless it's like a one-time tournament game, it's more of a, your team needs to work within the context of multiple battles. So a gimmick will work maybe the first time, but you know, as people adapt, you can't really keep it, because they're this is the guy with the gimmick, and then they just predict it the next time. What was I saying with that? Yeah, but even in saying that, I'm like, you know, I've been having like I have a ton of competitive Pokemon ideas all the time. I wouldn't call them science videos per se, but just a different style than me sitting over Showdown narrating, but actually like almost like a not a course, but like let's say I'm teaching something like how to do something called a left to right analysis, which is, you know, going from the first Pokemon to the 6th, and you know, that's how you utilize a team preview to get the most out of it, and then, you know, you from there see far greater results in the actual game, and that'll equal probably like a 200 to 300 point jump. And so I've been in that space coaching for years now, and so there is like a science to it, which is what I detailed. I wrote a book, and so I detailed all that in there, and it actually, when people followed it, every time it worked. And so stuff like that is what I'd like to create content on in a video way, where I'm like circling the Pokemon, like it's visually appealing as well, to where it aligns with what I'm talking about, rather than you're kind of having to imagine what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Definitely. I think that that's a really good idea. I always think that trying to evolve your content is the way to go. And what I would say about that is that with my channel and how it's changed over time, it's always a stepwise process, and it's never like changing
it's never like I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, because I see some people like try to embark on a massive series and they're like, this is episode 1 of a series of doing this and whatever, and then if it doesn't do as well as they want, then they get demoralized, or they just plow on, and it might actually harm their channel in the long run. With all these things, if you want to try to introduce new content to your channel, just do just do like an experiment video, you know, like try it out, see how it does, and if it does well, obviously carry on with it. But if it doesn't do well, then don't get demoralized, kind of just move on. You can try to adapt it or do a different format, or present it in a different way, which is probably the most important thing. But yeah, definitely, if you definitely learn from how your audience responds to it, and don't get demoralized, because you just need to keep being creative and trying new things. That's how I've got to where I am.
Oh, without a doubt, man. I mean, you're talking to the guy who started a channel 2 days after his old one got hacked. So
I know. Oh my god, yeah.
So I'm not new to adversity or interestingly enough, I've never viewed myself as a content creator per se. And so literally how I think about when I hop on YouTube and make a video, I like it. And so I try to never... So let's say I got 300 views, yeah? What's the difference between 300 and 300,000? Like, truly, what's the real difference? It's just your perspective. I mean, obviously, in a physical sense, there is more revenue and more of an audience, more attention. But beyond that, other than the money that you'd get, that's more than the 300 view video, there isn't really any tangible difference that you're gonna receive. And so, to me, what I had to realize and relearn when my channel got hacked, I know I'm coming from getting, and this was at the peak. My channel was like, when I tell you, like literally blowing, just in the same way you're describing. Like, I have never gotten views like those. Talking 30,000 views on a video, never, you know, in like a couple of days. And so my subscriber count was skyrocketing. And so at the peak, I wouldn't say the peak, but like it was getting to the point where it's like, man, like I'd probably have 40,000 subs if I continued at the momentum I was at. Now I have 11,000, going 12 from the restart. I'd probably have 4 times that now. But the way I look at it is like, well, what's the difference? I have to realize that each person that views my video is a person, not a number. And that really shifted my how I come in front, how I hop on the mic. I guess that would be the best way, because for my content it's very vocal. But that really changed how I hopped on the mic, because I mean, if the people are just numbers and I'm like, how many views and how it's just 3,000 isn't anything. I mean, to who? When you had 100 subscribers, if you got 3,000, you'd be pretty ecstatic. So all that changed is that you grew, and you know, if you choose to, you can still appreciate a 30 view. Like if you got 30 views on a video, 30 people in real life, like, you know how many 30 in a room of 30 people, that's a lot of people, you know. 30 people in real life decided to watch your vid. So when I'm getting like, you know, 2,000 now, I'm like, 2,000 people found me entertaining enough to consistently watch me on a day-to-day basis. And even more so are, you know, if it's 100, if it's 200, if it's 300, enough of them give enough of a damn to leave a comment or leave a like. I'm like, those are real people. And so that really shifted how I went about going about new things. And so if my audience asks for it, I don't get demoralized by the viewership, because I know that that's what they need right now. So if you need more explanation on this, that's what you'll get. I did a whole video series on how to master competitive Pokemon. It's 25 videos, and it compared to other things, because I don't want to say it bombed. Compared to my other content, it didn't do well. But I knew that was going to be content that, for the 10 people who do actually want that, and or the 100 people who do value it, is going to be like game changing content.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to not put that out because it wasn't getting the viewership I like. And I mean, it hurt my content in the, like, maybe for the next month for the algorithm or whatnot. But I was like, I'll take that blow for the greater good and just work back to where the algorithm is in my favor again. If that's no way of looking at it. And so I am not worried about the viewership and all that at all. If it's what's going to be good for the community.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you need to do. You need to assess your motivations, because for me, like, I want to play the game, and I want to also, like, create this content, get people excited about stuff that they may not have known about. Like, it's all about finding the new things. Obviously, for you want to create this community about and like improving competitive play, and everyone lifting each other up with that, and that's really important for you. So obviously, like, trying to make the content that pops the most isn't necessarily the highest priority for you. You want to reach as many people as you can to get involved in this, but at the same time, you can't compromise on the actual content and what you're presenting and why you're doing that. So yeah, you really always need to assess your motivations and what you're trying to achieve. I know that some people, like, they do this because they want to get big, or like the actual YouTube part of it, and their following and everything, that's their motivation. They want it to just be big, and so they're willing to, like, completely change their content just to get that response from their viewership. Whereas what I want to do is I want to find the things that really interest me and make that kind of content, but also make it accessible for the most amount of people. And I mean no one wants to do things to actively harm their channel. No. Everyone wants to, like, reach as many people as they can, because regardless of your reasons for doing it, you want to make sure that anyone who might find your video interesting or useful has a chance of seeing that, and has a chance of doing it.
Of course.
So yeah, I think it's really important always to assess why you're doing something, and think about that. Like, if you're wanting to change your content, then think about, oh, well, my priority is to get this kind of content out, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't do as well, or my priority is actually for my usual content to do as well as possible, so I don't want to jeopardize that with trying something new because I want to do that. It's always a flip, and like, it's really annoying to see when people judge other people. Like, I know when some people, like, completely pivot to different games, like games, for example, you know, like Mrjamvad, who went from Pokemon to card games.
Mogwai.
And that was a complete thing. But like, you can't,
No, not to cut you off, but like, you just really made a good point. Like, Mogwai went from, Mogwai is like, I don't know that space, but he's like one of the dominant forces. If I look at his channel size, Mogwai was nowhere near the size he was when he made that transition. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it was really, really cool to see. Because he was really making a name for himself in Pokemon, but he got to the point where it just really wasn't doing it for him, and he had to make this change. He knew that card games prior to Pokemon had always been the games that he played, and that's what he wanted to do. And so he made a really bold decision of just completely changing, but he was really committed to it. He worked really hard, and as you said before, it's about making your space. It's about making your space, finding what fits you, and then I think that's really important for engagement, because
No, I'm listening. I just YouTube Mogwai's at 200K now. Like, I'm because you know, we were all like, I may have found out about you through Mogwai. I don't remember how, but we were all within. We've been on each other's channels. Me, MV, Mogwai. Like, that was like I used to like call that like space the creative space, because you have like hyper competitive style of players, which I would consider like the Blunder. Well, back then Blunder, Joey. I'd say Joey's in a slight middle, but Joey doesn't build like that. So I put Blunder and Joey in that same category. And I'd put myself there as well, though I'd build, but the super competitive. And then you'd have Envy and Mogwai. Mogwai was super competitive too, but like he'd build his stuff and have creative sets, and that the creativity was very important, and so like to see him, like Mogwai had, I don't even remember how many he had. I don't even know if he had even 20,000 when he left from Pokemon. Like it may have been even below. It might have just hit 10,000 or something like that. And to see him like literally like, now I'm committed to this, and I'm looking at his channel now 14 hours ago, and he has that already has like over 50,000. Like that's just having the conversations we used to have, and talking about with family things, and just, it's not easy being, he may have been I think 26 or 27 at the time, deciding that, hey, I'm gonna be a content creator, and all, I'm sure the the backlash from those around, and especially when things aren't, you're gonna be a Pokemon guy on YouTube, man, get a job, or I can see like I can definitely see that stuff happening, and just, I am like super happy to see that. I had no idea he had gotten this big in this space. But sorry to cut you. It just really, when I saw that, I was like, my man,
yeah, exactly. It's all about finding your space, and if you're enjoying the content you're creating, or you think it's important to create, then that will show through. I think that's a really important part for the engagement with the audience, because they will see that and respond to it. So yeah, he's a really good example of experimenting and going with what you need to go with, and creating your space.
Also, to add on top of that, because we went from just having talking about Pokemon, but I think this is a good conversation. My audience tends to be a little like older. I attract more like, probably, I think, I don't attract like the 12-year-old to 6. I mean, I have some like within there, but they're more mature minded, and so I don't really attract a lot of like, oh, I'm 12 and I'm trying to get into Pokemon, because my style of narration and presentation isn't like a, hey guys, let's get this thing. It's not like it's not really, which I have no problem with. Like, I just know that's not my temperament, even in real life. So I'm more laid back, and so I understand that's not gonna pull that audience, which is fine. The reason I'm saying that, oh yeah, so with to add on top of that, that's why I think they'd get a lot of value from this conversation. But I still love playing, and so for me, I think selfishly, the Showdown lives are as much as for me as they are for the audience. It's almost secondary. It's like, oh, if you enjoy it too, dope. However, I've been playing this game for so long and I enjoy it, and I don't get to play it unless I force myself to record. My time is very, very, very and so it's my hobby, and it just happens to be recorded. People happen to like it, happen to get good at it, and so in addition to what I put out now, I experiment with that newer stuff as far as making those more zoomed in competitive videos, and that would be secondary, where the Showdown lives would always be primary, because that's what people come to watch me for. So I wouldn't go like completely left per se in my case, and just not upload the Showdown lives anymore, and I am now the competitive guru or something like that. No. But I do think it's gonna be a necessary thing, and I don't know if you know, but I'm putting together a website. It's gonna be the biggest website for competitive Pokemon on the web, on Earth, whichever one you want to use. and it's going to encompass Smogon, VGC, Draft, and newly discovered Pokemon Go. Didn't know they had a competitive scene.
Oh yeah.
And so, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. That sounds really good. It sounds like I've seen your Discord, and it's just really well structured, and people, as I said, people lifting each other up. So I can only imagine that a web resource for that would be just as valuable.
Mm-hmm. It's not gonna be Jam's website or something. It's gonna be literally like its own entity, and so the vision for that is gonna be when let's say, because currently what I think about is like, well, when these surges happen, the issue is there's such a high barrier for entry. Like, we made it over the wall, and so for us, I think sometimes forget how complicated it can be to get into mods. And so when let's say Crown Tundra comes out and 3 million people come into the community, right? 3 million new, all over the world, they're intrigued, whatever. And they're like, man, this Fufu guy's content is great. Jam's content is great, blah, blah, blah. But I don't understand fully what they're saying. I like it. Cool. Excuse me. Cool. After a month, they're like, I don't know how to, I played a few games, I'm losing, I'm just going to go back to whatever they were doing prior to, or whatever content they were consuming prior to that, which, again, it's not competitive, so I'm not trying to take people's audience. It's more of like, okay, that interest was there, but because of how high the wall was for you to climb to get in, you just kind of quit halfway because it's like, wow, this is a lot. And so I'm solving that problem with that website. The Academy was supposed to do that, but I only do Smogon, and so I can only do so much in that realm. And I realized I can't do it all. And so I'm going to create a place where, boom, if a new player comes, that's going to be that website where you can learn everything competitive Pokemon. And not only that, it's going to be easy to navigate, like super simple. Like, I want it super, super simple. Very, very, very well, like made in the sense of visually, aesthetically pleasing. And so hop on, boom, you pick your format. So if you're interested in Go, if you're interested in Smogon, if you're interested in Draft, or VGC, you literally click it, and then it'll open up like okay, so this is VGC, and it'll have a video, and it'll have the words that would describe that particular topic, and it'll be like a course, but it's all free on our website. Gonna have a magazine on all things competitive Pokemon, just uniting all the different, because I think it's very separated. I don't know anything about Pokemon Go competitive. I didn't even know that existed, and I've been playing for this long. And a lot of them don't know Smogon or even VGC exists, even though we're playing the same game. And so the goal of that is to unite all that into one place, so where it's a one-stop shop. It's like the Cerebi of competitive Pokemon, I would say. And so all that.
That sounds really good. I know that from my experience when I upload videos, and I intentionally try to make videos accessible so that even if people aren't the most competitive people out there, they can still watch the video and enjoy it, particularly because I highlight Pokemon that don't get the spotlight a lot of the time. So people who are just, playing in game and might want to find a video about their favorite Pokemon, mine might be one of the only ones out there because they're just not very talked about Pokemon. And so I want to make it accessible to everyone, but I do get comments saying, like, I don't really know what's going on because I don't know competitive that well, but it's really cool to see this kind of video. And it would be great to have a resource to point people to, saying, like, if you want an easy way to step in or, step up, then here's this resource, because I don't have the time to like teach every person who leaves a comment like that how to get into Pokemon. I can't do that, but I really want to. I want to give them the tools that they can do that themselves. And yeah, so it sounds like that website could be the answer.
Oh yeah, it will be, and that will, rather than from that 3 million, rather than us retaining, 10,000 from them or 100,000 from them, we can retain potentially up to 75% of those people, because if it's engaging, with the, I didn't know you were familiar with my Discord, but like something that is like what's a good way of putting it, like is a non-negotiable is your attitude within that space. If you are coming there with a bunch of toxic behaviors, attitudes, energy, you're gone. And so that's literally the culture of that space, and it has nearly 1,600 people, and it never happens, and I think what I've failed to realize as well is how there's so many levels to this when you're on the competitive end, and so like a new player, again, they're not just numbers, they're actual people. They're like a seed, right? And if I'm I want everybody to be good at competitive who wants to be good at it. I want to make that accessible, which is why I wrote the book. It's chronologically ordered, all that. So I thought that would solve the issue, but then I realized, there are all these outside factors beyond the person just clicking the button and knowing when to do it. They're like psychological things that go into it as well. I have to write articles on those, addressing those, and it's very fulfilling. Like, I don't regret it at all, or anything like that, but I didn't realize how many more things get into it, and one of those things are the people you're around. And so when a person hops on the ladder prior to the academy, a lot of them played alone, and so if you're playing alone, you already have shaky confidence in the game and your ability to progress, but you drudge through for a month because you're like, every time I watch a foo video, it makes me believe in myself, right? I'm like, okay, cool. And you hop on again. This is a game I want to play. It's enjoyable when it's enjoyable. And then 4 games in a row, some guy calls you a shithead and says you should kill yourself, right? I can see that over time. But you know what? I'm good on this space and all that, and eventually feeling alienated from this community. And so I can't solve everybody's toxicity, but I can certainly do my part to either mentally prepare you for that, which I think in turn, bosses your self-esteem, which is gonna be helpful outside of the context of this, because ultimately it doesn't matter what they say. But prepping people for that, and also creating more of a group dynamic, so you're not laddering by yourself. Back in the day, we used to hop in calls and play Pokemon. That's how it used to be. And so you're not alone. If somebody says something, you take the screenshot, post it in the Discord, laugh about it, look at this guy, make like light of negativity, rather than having it just mess your entire day up or pushing you out of the game that you could have loved or love. So there's just so many things to attack, but it will be done. And so when I think it's, give you the
sorry, I was just going to mention, like about the negativity. I think that is a big barrier. I think it's really intimidating, especially on Showdown, to step on for the first time, and doing it with friends and in calls is a great way of doing it. But what you've just said about like posting the whatever someone said and laughing about it. If you look at YouTube content, there are people who make like almost the most popular Pokemon content full stop about like people getting triggered on Showdown. Like, people love to see how like juvenile other people are. And so you don't get demoralized if someone is saying this to you. Just laugh at it, because at the end of the day, that's what everyone else is doing. Like, these people are playing Pokemon and getting angry about it. Like, what is the point? It's a game. Everyone's playing to enjoy it. So why are you getting so upset? It's just, yeah, trying to make sure that everyone, hopefully making sure that it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, making sure that people have the tools to deal with it.
Yeah. There's so many. Again, dude, it's like a seed, man. You water it, and you got to protect it in those early stages for it to become even. And then when it's not, like when it's just popping out the ground, you still gotta make sure it's watered and And so I feel like we lose so many people in the seed stage. They never even pop out. And that could possibly because of a lack of resources and information. So I tried to fix that part. And then I realized, when they pop out the ground, then some asshole just comes and kicks them down and or cuts them, from using that tree analogy, just cuts it down. And then they're like, I'm out of here. Rightfully so. And so definitely when that website is done, and also guys, if you're listening and you want to contribute in any way to that, it's going to get done. And so if you want to contribute to that and you're really good with computer program, website development, I'm definitely open to having your help. The more the merrier, I hope. And the quicker we can get this done. And if you're skilled in areas that other people aren't, then again, I'll accept all the help I can. If you're proficient with Pokemon Go, VGC, Smogon, and you want to help write the articles, because we're going to have weekly articles on all these formats when the website is up. It's going to be legit. And so yeah, certainly hit me up on Discord. The link is down below. But yeah, I just wanted to have that plug in just in case anybody wanted to help out. But yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on a lot, like all over the place. But yeah, I guess this is it feels like a natural stopping point. Did you have anything like to the audience or just to the community? Like what is Foofoo looking like in a year, your ideal world? Or the community?
That's a hard question. That's a really hard question. I would say I want to keep doing similar to what I'm doing, although I have had some ideas for a different kind of content again.
Okay.
It might be to be fair, it might be completely different, depending on if I want completely different.
Like not Pokemon related?
No, Pokemon related, maybe Pokemon community related, issue related. I want to continue doing like the in-game stuff. I'm thinking about doing maybe some more like long form discussion-y content, but whether that's going to go on my channel or whether I'll do a new channel for it or whether it's just a bit too much of a commitment for me at this point, I don't know. I've got to do some thinking on this, but I've got some ideas about it which I kind of want to look into. They're quite, I quite like to do it. They're more involved discussions about the game itself, and
what do you mean?
I don't know if people would be interested or not.
What do you mean the game itself?
So about the competitiveness of the game, about like Pokemon's place as an as a competitive game in general, or an esport, or things like that. About doing deep dives into different components of how people play Pokemon. And it's I don't want to go in too much into it at this stage because I've got some ideas about some of the videos and I don't know if they will materialize or not, but they're just some very early stage ideas at the moment which I would like to look into more.
Well, what I'll say about that is, with this website, it's gonna be a powerhouse, and so it's gonna be attempting something that's never been done before, and I fully intend to have, again, it's not gonna be called like Mrjamvad site or something. I'm not gonna reveal the name yet. Well, I'll tell you after, but I'm not gonna reveal it to the audience yet. but yeah, I fully intend for it to have its own Twitch, its own YouTube, its own podcast, and its own magazine, all that. And so with that podcast aspect, I am not sure the direction, because I'll still have my own channel and all that, but that will be run by like other people in a way of like the community in a way of looking at it. And so I want it to grow to the point where I can provide even a revenue stream for those who enjoy, like, let's say you're like essentially a Pokemon journalist, you know, or you're a Pokemon magazine creator, or and I can pay people like literally to just host a podcast and da da da. And so if that's the realm where you're like, maybe not for my channel, and you just want to like co-host, or you have some time, you want to hop on a particular episode of that podcast, because then the audience for that, you know, I'm expecting it to be far greater than my channel, or really it could be any channel on, because it's going to be about all things competitive Pokemon. So it's uniting. I don't know if you're a One Piece fan, but it's like the all blue, which is like all four C's combined. But like it's gonna be every audience for competitive Pokemon under one umbrella, and so that's a whole different range, which could be perfect for what I think you're trying to discuss. So certainly, if you haven't done it yet, or if you have, and you just want to revisit that topic and all that is set up, you know, that's probably a year from now or so, or 8 months from now. But if all that's set up, the podcast, by all means, just hit me up, and then whoever is doing the podcast at that time, I'll just put you in contact with them. You know, hop on.
Sure, it sounds like it might be an appropriate outlet. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, for sure. I'm all about the including everyone, so please never hesitate after that's all done and said and done, if you want to, you know, like who knows how big this thing can grow to. Shoot, we may have, you know, like in that magazine, I was thinking strictly just like, you know, let's say Pokemon Go had a tournament, and I was thinking stuff of that nature. But I mean, it very well could be a thing of like, oh, check out this content creator. Hey, Fufu just put out or like a content creator gets featured on the front page, just to grow all the different aspects of the community, you know? So yeah, please do not hesitate.
Yeah, no, I'll reach out.
Yeah, guys, that's Fufu. I really enjoyed this dialogue, and I learned a lot. I got a lot of new ideas for things I'm going to be experimenting with on my own channel, and I'm expecting 100K from Fufu by the end of the year. He might not see it yet. But I just seeing how like well made the videos are, and the obvious attention to not just detail, but attention to doing it the best he can do it. It doesn't seem like he takes shortcuts when he's doing these things, and so I definitely recommend you guys to go check that out if you're not already familiar. And do you do anything outside of YouTube? Do you do like Twitch or something? Do you like?
No, I don't do Twitch. I don't really have time to do that, and also I don't know what I would do. Yeah, I like how I can curate everything on my YouTube channel. I'm in complete control, so nothing's live or anything like that.
Okay.
I like that level of control.
Understandable. Twitch is definitely a different beast. But yeah, definitely go check him out. The link will be in the description below. And again, thank you for even taking the time out to have the discussion. He literally, guys, just as a closing out, I literally had the idea on, I don't remember what you tweeted, and then I was like why haven't I, and then I literally DM'd him like that, I think that moment, and then he was like, oh, awesome, hell yeah, I'll come on. And so that was not even a week ago. So for him to just on the fly, hop in. I very, very much appreciate that. And so, again,
Well,
I mean it. Do not hesitate if you need anything.
Yeah, I'm very grateful for the invite, and I've had a really good discussion. It's been very productive, I think.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so, I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of great comments on this one. Leave your thoughts below, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. I guess I'll bring on Wolfie. I don't know. We'll see. Peace.